Kisulyeshki, my dearest ones, today we're going to talk about Andrey Gubin. This site is of course extremely sad, and I want to address you right away, my dear ones. What do you think? Is it ethical at all to invite a person with mental illnesses for an interview? How humane and compassionate is that? Because if the person comes to their senses, well, of course it's unlikely. Still, I suppose they wouldn't really like it. That he wasn't at his best, not in the best light, so to speak. And often I can see a lot of, for example, educational material that somehow made its way onto YouTube, and the person clearly didn't give permission to be filmed during a crisis, and then have it all published. The same thing. I have serious questions for the relatives who film their elderly family members who are suffering from dementia. Tell me honestly, hand on heart, if you were in a psychotic state, would you want someone to film you, then post it, make it public, so to speak, expose your trouble, your problem or not? Because there are some serious questions here, wouldn't you agree? And that's why, in this case, there are serious questions for Ksenia Sobchak. She invites a person to her interview fully understanding that she's inviting someone with a certain mentality, with mental disorders. Yes.
Are you really in good health and, as I see it, in a good mood?
No way. In good health?
No good health at all, damn it. I've been sick since 2005.
It's clear that some of his critical thinking is preserved. There are areas where he can reason adequately. At the same time, if we sum up his overall condition, I think it's obvious to everyone that he's a little out of it. Yes, 4 years ago there was a very severe exacerbation there. And of course he needed hospitalization, involuntary hospitalization, because he posed a danger, first of all, to himself and to those around him. You understand this perfectly well.
Well, what's this? No, well, if you want, move your hands. I mean, please, go ahead and move them. But you're trying to get me worked up with what you're saying?
Many people have dentures.
Yes, thank you for your kindness.
I apologize.
And,
Accordingly, I would now like to address his loved ones and colleagues in the field as well. Yes, please keep in mind that you need to be extremely vigilant and, so to speak, keep this in mind. That he may need to be hospitalized at any moment. Besides the fact that, of course, he already needs help from a psychiatrist, he definitely needs support, first and foremost, with psychotropic medications. So this is a question about the publicity of patients in general in this case. Yes, when they were of sound mind and clear memory, they did not give this consent. Actually, yes, and this can play a cruel joke on a person. When you realize that you were made public while you were not yourself, it can make you feel even worse. That it's almost like it would be better not to come back from that dream at all, to just stay in that delirium, just so you don't have to face this reality. That I was so ashamed, so disgraced. And especially for such a handsome artist, well, he was an incredible boy with just doll-like looks. Yes, that he was so unattractive, and it was as if they brought him out in public looking like that and showed him off that way. Yes, and that's how it was. So I have an important question for you. The next point I'd like to make, I would immediately separate into a person who is healthy and a person who is ill. And I'm waiting for all of you in my psychotherapy group, which has a huge number of videos that I've recorded over the past year. And this entire library that I've created over the year is available to you at a very modest price, literally for the price of a cup of coffee in Moscow, which is exactly how much it costs right now. My group link is in the description below. There we have videos, we have metaphorical cards, there are meditations, various exercises, we're constantly in touch with you, and there are voice exercises. Every day you get something very, very, very important and useful from me, and I'm always in touch with you there non-stop. We have a very friendly community. No one hates on anyone. Everyone writes whatever they want. Yes, all their thoughts, their feelings, sensations, associations, and so on and so on. It's a full-fledged psychotherapeutic group with interesting learning. Every 2 weeks we cover some new topic. It's never too late to join us. And it's just a subscription that you can unsubscribe from at any time if you want. The link is below in the description. I would immediately divide it into a healthy person and a person who is ill, because as you understand, we're actually talking about different people in this case. Yes, so we don't recognize him, that very Andrey Gubin. He's 51 years old now. Notice, psychiatric patients have this interesting feature. They can at some point freeze and not age for a very, very long time. That's him, that boy, yes, the wanderer. He got stuck in that state. And especially this separation, as you can understand, never really happened with his parents.
I don't believe my parents are gone.
He was extremely attached to his father. Yes, there was this complete idealization of his daddy who shamelessly robbed him.
After a concert, if there was $1,000 left, I get a third and give 2/3 to my dad. And I get some large amount. I earn it, I put it in my father's safe. Then some time passes, and I want to buy myself a car like any young guy. So I come and say, Dad, give me some money. I know that, well, there should be this much there. He says, I invested it in business. So I say, but that was my share, your 2/3 and all that. He says, I invested it. That's the family's money, not yours.
The idealization of this mom. Mom is just a saint, beloved woman. And at that time, he couldn't separate from them. That's one thing. Despite endless tours, he was still with them. His mom always traveled with him on these tours.
I bring my mom on tours now to make life more enjoyable for her, because she really sacrificed a lot for her children.
Dad was producing and financing everything, so he was always like a little boy, and honestly, he never really grew up. And he got stuck in that and suddenly turned into an old man. It's like he has these two polarities, two stages. Here I am, a little boy, and then suddenly I'm a grump, I'm an old man, you know, like two extremes. Well, overall, we can definitely see the main psychological defense here, aside from, of course, the psychotic level. Yes, the fact that he dissociates, absolutely.
Some kind of puppet theater, everything seems staged, somehow not real. You know, sometimes I just don't know how other people live. But sometimes I find myself in a situation where I really feel like there's a movie happening around me.
But what we see is this split. The world is divided into black and white.
There are good people and kindness in the world, yet I keep getting pushed toward the grave.
Everyone around is wonderful people, and they are so good, they are so amazing. And this split was characteristic of him even in his younger years. If you watch his early interviews, you can notice a somewhat inadequate attitude toward people in general.
There are more good people than bad ones. Seriously, I think so, because of the good ones. For example, with all the people I interact with, am I bad? No, I'm not bad. You're bad? No. Our cameraman Sanka is a good guy sitting there and smiling. My girls are waiting for autographs. They're great too. Everyone is. It's just that sometimes life puts us in situations where we suddenly have to pretend to be bad.
People are very good. People only wish good things. Actually, people are just afraid to come up to me. Yes, people are wonderful beings. And today we see the other side. Yes, just like that. Which swung 180 degrees, where he already says, people hurt me, people wish me harm, the world wants to, burn me at the stake.
And it's like they're choking me and choking me, beating me and beating me every day, every day. There's a hunt, a hunt specifically for me, a very serious one.
And all of this already has such a polymorphic symptomatology, delusional. When we see paranoid delusions, we see delusions of influence. Do you think these marks just appeared on me for no reason? Yes, there is a specific person who is doing this to me. He made these things on my face, but I won't say who. Yes, that's a delusion of influence.
My situation is unusual. My whole left side of the face is drooping. There are some lines here. Well, you can all see it personally. I see gray lines, but you try to get all this crap off your face. And when doctors tell you that everything is fine, like I can't feel half my body, and the doctors tell me everything is fine, doctors, I say doctors as if the word doctor means something, geez.
Somatic delusion, like my leg has gone numb, and now numbness of my genitals has joined in with that leg.
My leg cramped up just now. Well, not right now, but I was playing soccer in Egypt. That's true. That's actually what happened. A chunk of my leg like this. Because of that, my pelvis is tilted like this, because one of my legs is shorter than the other, and that's why I suffer. This is our favorite spot, the one that's responsible for reproduction and so on, and I want to have kids, and right now I have this issue. And in what year did the band No Goose Fellow appear? This is a very rare situation. The band No Goose Fellow appeared in 1984.
So you think it's just a coincidence?
It's not an accident.
You see, my whole face got twisted, my teeth shifted. And with patients at a psychotic level, those who, are naturally prone to going into psychosis, yes, mainly in people with schizophrenia and also in patients, for example, with dementia, even early dementia, we can observe very rapid tooth decay. Yes, actually, if you go into a psychiatric clinic, you will hardly find any patients with good teeth there. Mostly there will be very serious problems. And it's not because psychiatrists were being negligent. This is a very interesting moment when you look and your relative's mouth and teeth start to decay rapidly. And here you can even notice once again those delusional symptoms. He says, I'm rotting alive. I feel like I'm rotting alive. That's how Andrey Gubin lives today. He lives terribly.
He lives so poorly, it's like he's not living but rotting alive.
What do you mean?
That you're rotting alive. Well, I feel like I'm really sick. Of course, that's nonsense. Yes, but it's also kind of partly true. Yes, like we partly see white teeth with a gorgeous smile. Boy, and suddenly the teeth became strangely crowded. They shifted somewhere and they're loose. And if you look in his mouth, I can see that, yes, his teeth are loose. Yes, his teeth really did rot, they really did shift. But again, there were probably some orthodontic problems that were being addressed over the course of 20 years. So before this, he was a well-groomed, neat boy, yes, with even a bit of a narcissistic streak. Yes, his parents pampered and spoiled him, and he was, in general, egocentric, selfish, yes, a bit of a playboy, sweet, despite all his heterosexuality and love for girls. That's a different story. That's what I wanted to say. Well, back then, yes, he took great care of himself, and then this happened. Suddenly, so to speak, and it's as if we're witnessing this decay, at least partially, although of course it actually has a psychotic nature. Yes, and that's obvious. That's what we see with you. Again, pay attention. Every time he says, well, I don't know who put these stripes on me. Yes, actually, someone wants to kill me. The tractor has been coming for 15 years every day. It starts up at 4 in the morning. It's so cheap, $100 a day to destroy me.
Everyone here has renovations happening nearby. It's the same for all of us.
I don't know about that. What if you got beaten up the way I did?
Yeah, everyone always has renovations. I don't know.
Not for 15 years. Yeah, the noise comes from the street. They park the tractor, start it up. It costs $100. You have to pay the Tatar guy. I do it on purpose.
Well, Andrey, you know that sounds crazy.
Honestly, they want to poison and kill me. It's a paranoid delusion, delusions of persecution and influence. And we both understand that he says this phrase every time, like, I don't know who wants to do this to me, I don't know. Well,
so Basta is sitting there thinking, yes.
No, not Basta. Well, who are the rapper gangsters here?
They're like mafiosi here.
Who are these rapper gangsters? I don't know. Who do I know? Timati. Who else do I know?
It's Mafia, the game. It's called Mafia.
Yes, of course.
Who's pushing against the Mafia is only clear at the end of the game.
Actually, he knows. And if the environment is more favorable and if he feels comfortable, confident, relatively safe, then in general, of course, you can get him to talk. That he will say that a specific person ordered him name these, so to speak, addresses, passwords, last names, and tell everything. Or, for example, he talks about the death of his parents, and it was all very much like in a movie, cinematic. It's all not true.
Because what I saw, how it all happened, it was all extremely strange. And there was a complete movie going on around this whole story. First with his father, then with his mother.
And it's not just, some kind of metaphor, allegory, or figure of speech. No, that's really how it all happens in reality. He actually thinks that these parents are alive. It's just that, since criticism is partially preserved in this case, especially regarding the hallucination aspect, that is, with delusions, he has lost some of his critical thinking. As for what he says, yes, he lets his tongue loose, he allows these delusions to exist, but he still more or less controls the hallucinations. He knows he's being interviewed now, which is why I say his critical thinking is partly intact. He realizes this isn't very flattering. There could be some consequences. People in white coats could suddenly appear out of nowhere. Yes, and all of this could end up, so to speak, in a psychiatric clinic. And I really wouldn't want this kind of temporary, even if it's just a loss of freedom. It's still better to remain even as a hermit, even if it feels like being locked within 4 walls, but still free. Accordingly, he still controls this process, but if he starts talking, if you get him to talk, He'll tell you a whole specific situation of his own. For example, this is just from my imagination. His mother is alive, and she actually lives with him in the apartment. She just asks him to keep it a secret, asks him not to give any concerts and to be among people as little as possible. Otherwise, there is another person in the apartment who threatens to kill his mother. Yes, or the parents are in some settlement. Maybe they were kidnapped by some mafia members. And again, they call him from time to time and tell him, Andreyusha, if you speak out, we will kill your parents. So the delusional story will be exactly like that if, again, he is pushed into it. Yes, because the whole structure there in general is built in. Yes, this whole delusional structure is already embedded in every cell of his body. And it has seeped in quite deeply over 20 years, as you can already notice, right? So that's the point. But understanding this, since his critical thinking is partially preserved, he still chooses to say, I don't know, I don't know, I don't know, I don't know. Yes, kind of giving himself the chance to get away with it after all, so that everyone would say, well, maybe something is wrong with Andreyushka, but still he understands where he is, he understands who he is talking to, meaning he understands where he is. Of course, he understands that this is Ksenia Sobchak. But again, it's very important to be fully prepared and pay close attention when dealing with this patient. Because he is quite hostile, he's impulsive, quick-tempered, and as I already mentioned, he can cause harm both to himself and to those around him. There are suicidal tendencies, yes.
That is, I'm feeling worse and worse. I'm gradually dying, but it's like I'm already dying peacefully, so I'm not afraid. I mean, I already want to die.
I'm dying, I already want to die faster. I wish I could die sooner. Yes, because I'm already rotting alive anyway. That's why, my dears. That's how it is, my sweethearts. So, that's about the deeply troubled person we see today, right? But let's take a little look at the whole backstory, actually. First of all, there's this very strange story with his father, his biological one, who at first seemed to play the role of his stepfather, but then he became his real father again.
After all, Dad Vitya is my real dad. Although Dad Valera, my first father who raised me until I was 8, I still remember him too.
But he's not the biological father either, right?
Victor Gubin is my biological father.
Oh, he's the biological one, yes.
My other father who raised me.
Well, wait.
Yes.
I'm waiting, go ahead. He raised you, but, you know, it's well-known information that your biological father, he's someone else.
Why?
Who told you that? Victor Gubin is my real father. We have the same hip structure.
And indeed, there is a resemblance, but no one has done any biological tests. His father actually was an extremely wealthy and influential man, and I don't have very good associations with his songs. I consider him overall a multifaceted person, quite talented. Yes, he writes songs, and well, his pop music is pretty good, so to speak. Okay, but for me it's just the same, nothing special. It's pretty much the same as Laskovi Mai, just a bit better because he writes those songs himself, but that's just my personal association. Let me know if any of you listened to Gubin back then like I did and what those times were like. For me, they were absolutely terrible. It was the 90s, there was hunger, devastation, the early 2000s, I mean, it was just something terrible. And out of nowhere, these people would appear, like some Abramoviches, Berezovskis, some Safins, Alsu's daddy, Gubin's daddy, who would promote their sweet kids and buy them unbelievably expensive music videos. And for every song by Gubin, he had a lot of songs. There was some kind of flashy music video made. And you would look at these kids and you had this mixed feeling. On the one hand, well, it's good, it's probably better than nothing, but on the other hand, it's like you wonder, what the heck really? Who are you people anyway, and why did all this suddenly fall into your lap, yeah? Why did the oil refinery, which used to be state-owned, suddenly become yours? Or, well, people started having these kinds of questions, right? And for me personally, all of this is associated with Gubin as well. Although again, like I said, there are songs I enjoy listening to. Liza annoys me with her songs, but I like the song My Darling Far Away, It's Hard for My Heart Without You. Well, My Darling You is probably my favorite song. His song Boy Vagabond also kind of annoys me, and whenever you turn on the television, it's just Gubin everywhere. Yeah, it's like we don't have any other artists on stage. And there they are, just boom, right in your face somehow. They get them on in some way apparently, and you just have to watch them. Well, okay. In short, let's talk a little bit about the preserved personality. Yes, about that Gubin we remember from back then. A radiant, charismatic, charming, intelligent, intellectual, responsive, kind boy, so warm, attentive, and extremely caring. You can see that he is such a parent's son, like a little chick.
When we were renovating this apartment, my mom said there must be an aquarium in the house. I asked Mom why. She said there must be an aquarium in the house. I told him so. An aquarium, well...
He's kind of cute, charming, and nice, but he's just amazing. That smile of his is almost divine. He just shines. Yes, he's so radiant. He's fantastic. If you watch his previous interviews, yes, the old ones, you'll see a completely different person. And of course, this is such a rapid rise to fame. Let's now look at the combination of factors that played such a key role, undoubtedly the most important factor. It's organic, it's genetic determinism, it's biology, yes, absolutely. And yet, could this psychotic state have been delayed somehow? Could he have encountered it? This question remains open. As you understand, yes, but still, what kind of... Could psychoactive substances, alcohol, sudden popularity, and the departure of his parents altogether, yes, become a kind of trigger, a starting mechanism for him to rapidly enter psychosis? Actually, that's exactly what we're seeing. Yes, it happened. How can he get out of it? But at least I want to say right away that if he has a good psychotherapist, he can be stabilized. Obviously, we're not talking about any kind of star career today. Yes, so most likely if he performs, it will probably be with some kind of backing tracks already. But the fact that a person can be socially integrated, and should be, that's absolutely true, he should be socially integrated. And when a person goes into remission, yes, we see that they even get employed, everything is fine, they live a completely full life. When he has a relapse, he just, yes, goes to the hospital, that's all. But of course, we can never get back the boy who was there back then. But that's impossible with anyone, even if we're talking about a mentally healthy person, yes, it's impossible. So yes, as for his romanticism, such a romantic nature, but it's quite double-edged. Again, this sweet, cute boy is just one side, so to speak, and of course he has a shadow side as well. This, again, I'll repeat, is egocentrism, selfishness, yes, excessive self-love, narcissism. Yes, he's a workaholic, he's a perfectionist, definitely. He's a very obedient child, he idealizes his parents. Dad and Mom just did everything right. Dad took all my money, that's how it should have been, we're one family. In reality, it's quite a sad story. Yes, it's a kind of slavery, yes, even if it's from the father's side, yes, in this case, but in any case, yes, accordingly, that's this moment. But you can also add here, on top of everything, it can be aggressive. It wasn't just his illness that made him this way, it was something he had in general, like a kind of spoiled behavior. After all, he was quite a golden child, despite the fact that he remembers the difficulties that were in their family.
You had a great childhood.
What do you mean great? It was a very hard childhood. A very hard childhood. There wasn't even money to buy a bed for the child. So, they slept on a mattress, and I slept. There were these bookshelf boards. They were laid out at night, like this. 4 boards, a mattress was put on top, and I slept on them. That was my bed.
But these difficulties don't compare to the hardships many of us have faced. Still, it was a separate apartment that he remembers. A 3-room apartment, and they rented out one of the rooms. Well, excuse me, a 3-room apartment. Many of us never had any 3-room apartment. I spent my life with my mom in a tiny 3-meter room in a communal apartment in St. Petersburg, surrounded by drunks, sometimes unable to use the bathroom because Uncle Pasha would pass out there with a cigarette. You had to break down the door and drag that red-haired pig of a man out by his shirt. You see, just to use the bathroom, which there was only one for the whole huge group, anyone who knows St. Petersburg communal apartments and courtyards will understand what I mean. One bathroom and 300 neighbors fighting for the bathroom, cold water. The neighbors would literally crap in each other's frying pans. Anfisa. We had this neighbor there, she would open the lid and someone had pooped in it, so they would poop in each other's things, throw some trash in there. And this isn't, this isn't just my imagination like Andrey Gubin. It's painfully true. Anyone who has lived in communal apartments will back me up. A lot of different interesting things go on. So his memories of a 3-room apartment, how we lived poorly, how I slept there, how I didn't have my own bed, how everything was poor and sad, but you weren't that poor or sad. So that's how it is, my dears. Accordingly, he's such a sweet son and he can be a very spoiled, nasty, unpleasant boy and basically use people as he pleases. Even if we take into account those girls he was occasionally in love with, his attitude toward them was like they were some kind of toys.
How did we meet Liza? The thing is, she walked by and I realized that it was all kind of fate passing by.
I met Liza, I was riding the subway, and there she was sitting, and I realized it was fate, so I ran after her. Hey, what's your name? Let's get to know each other. It was such love. Later we dated for 1.5 years. I broke up with her because I fell in love with Lisa.
And somehow the feelings, the worlds that were between us, they started to fade away. But I always tend to blame myself because I think a woman is such a being that if love is gone, then it's my fault. And that a woman is made to do all sorts of silly things that are terribly cute. And without that, a woman isn't really a woman. That's why I tend to blame myself for the fact that Liza and I broke up.
Because I fell in love with Lisa and Lucia. I realized Lucia is my love. Lucia is my destiny. Lucia and I were just dating, and then I broke up with Lucia too, and then I had a new love. I felt she was my destiny, and then I broke up with Natasha. Then I broke up with Olgunya.
This is the main love of your life. Lucia, after all, Lucia from the Caramel group.
Lucia, Nastya, and Dasha. Well,
look.
Even today, music journalists reviewed him. Even today, when he's up to his ears in trouble, now in some kind of paranoid delirium. Yes, we can see this kind of skeptical attitude toward women. And if she had behaved normally, I wouldn't have cheated on her. She didn't act like that. She acted differently every day. There was a psychotic state. Well, yes, it came out. All of it came out.
You'll cheat.
I cheated, but there too.
But can you say like, well...
Basically, I have a strong-willed character and I kind of realized that I wouldn't be able to.
So what else can I add here? That this attitude towards women is still somewhat consumerist. That you feel like you're just a toy, you're an object, I want to replace you, one, then another, then a third, just like I change cars. Yeah, like cars. A car is more important than a woman. So on the one hand, it's like they help him write songs, be so resonant, musical, but on the other hand, we see it. Yes, first of all, we see some kind of resentment towards women, and of course, these could already be some kind of projections, yes. Difficulty in relationships. Again, complaints towards his mother can shift towards other women. Yes, he can't express this complaint to his mother. The mother is idealized, and in this case, the complaints are directed towards women. If only she were normal, I wouldn't cheat on her. And in this case, a woman is just like an object. They can be changed like gloves. But at the same time, just because there was a lot of love in my life, I loved a lot, I had many women, yes, many women.
Well, he was born. His head was a little squished, but then everything was fine with his head, thank God.
I love the music of the Beatles, the music my mom and dad made love to. It's good that they did it to that music. I really like it. Thank you very much.
Oh, that's probably not something for television at all. Well, but...
That the head got squeezed, they don't have any kids. Yeah, they said to you, damn, your own wife is like that.
My dear ones, So what else? Well, of course, it was quite early and sudden. It's a pity that this career burned out like that. If we look at it specifically through the lens of dissociation, through the lens of psychoanalysis, to view this form of psychotic defense, then it's as if my illness is a way of escaping because I don't fix things. I mean, I can't. I don't know how to live without my mother, how to live without my father, how to live without this support. Yes, how can I? I didn't have time to grow up. I didn't have time to go through a full separation. I didn't have time to live my own life. I don't know what the adult world is like. I'm afraid of this world. It's too dangerous. These people, they can be unpredictable. They can be a threat to me. That's why I'll retreat into a world of my own dreams, even if they're dangerous dreams, but it's like I'm creating them for myself. And if I'm creating them for myself, then it's like I can manage it, like I can control it. Yes, I can control it. There's this idea, this illusion, and it's like I have it. Without my parents, I won't be able to reach these heights. There's no one else to show my achievements to. So if before my parents were responsible for everything, now they're gone. And without them, I'm nothing. That's it. But I don't want that. I don't want to see that I'm nothing. I don't want to face it. It's too painful. It's too agonizing. That's why I choose to withdraw into a kind of sleep with a fever of 40. Yes, I just want to slip into this delirium. That's it. Let it be, let some kind of surrealism show itself. Let me rather go into a world of absolute dreams, fairy tales, fantasies. Let me just dissolve and disappear. Let me even rot alive if that's better. But anything but this confrontation with judgment, anything but facing reality, anything but this criticism, because it's unbearable for me. And again, we see this dichotomy, again, we see this split. Yes, I'm Paul McCartney, I'm God, I'm a star, I'm a superstar.
I could be Paul McCartney the Russian.
And I'm a nobody. Yeah, think that I'm just a nobody, that I manage something, but really I didn't manage anything, I'm nothing.
Yeah, that's true. I've been walking this earth for so many years doing something. In ordinary life, I'm a bird of no great height.
Go ahead.
Don't be modest.
This polarity can be seen in almost every one of his interviews, in every single one. But at the same time, since there's partial criticism with some caution, he sometimes pops up like that. Yes, even at a concert he acts cool, he even goes to some interview, maybe even travels somewhere, but again, it's just basic. He arrived in Israel, and the officials immediately noticed that something was off, so they questioned him. Although many people complain about Israel, saying that it's impossible. I mean, it's impossible to enter the country. I mean, it's like the mistreatment starts right away. Yes, they can keep a person there for 5 hours, search them, and harass them in every possible way.
When I was crossing the border into Israel at the airport, the patrol stopped me 4 times. I said, I'm not the terrorist. You are. You're the ones mistreating people.
So, my dears, what else can we say? Well, let's wish Andrey good health. He's 51 years old. Yes, 52, born in 74. Let's wish him, so to speak, good health, so that he becomes emotionally balanced, as much as it's acceptable, as much as it's possible in this case, yes? So that he normalizes his thinking. Right now we can clearly see that he is endlessly stuck in some kind of slipping, yes, a disturbance of thinking, we can see that. So that he comes to his senses, my sweethearts, yes. Let's wish him, in this case, success on this front. Write to me, my dears, who else among public figures would you like to analyze? And I'm also waiting for all of you in my psychotherapy group, which, to put it simply, has been running for almost a year and a half now, and there's really a lot of useful information accumulated there. It's a huge video library with exclusive videos, exclusive materials, meditations, exercises, metaphorical cards, and much, much more. It's a very friendly community, and the price is just ridiculously low. It's practically the cost of a cup of coffee. Actually, today it's a paid subscription and it's daily and it comes directly from me for the material. I record for you all sorts of important, deep and necessary works, psychotherapeutic materials. These are my favorites. So be sure to subscribe. The link will be below in the description. I send you gentle kisses and hugs.